Hey guys, and welcome to the Artflow channel. My name is Ross and this is part number 4 within our freelance course about Adobe Photoshop. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to work with selection tools in this software, and we have a lot of them here. So without further ado, let's get started. During this video, you'll see a lot of different images on my screen, and if you want to practice alongside with me, you can go to description and download those images. And the very first tool that we'll discuss is the regular rectangle selection. As you already know, on the left side we have a lot of different tools in Photoshop, and the tool you need is rectangular marquee tool. You can press M on your keyboard to select this tool, and it's a very straightforward tool. So what you need to do is to hold left mouse button and then drag, and your selection is ready. Now you might have a few questions like how exactly this selection is working, what I need to do, what hotkeys should I use, and what should I do with this selection after I created it. So let's go step by step while I explain how to work with this. Selection in Photoshop works in a very simple way. You need to choose any tool. Right now we have only square selection tool, so simply drag. As you can see, our selection is formed. It's like this blinking horizontal vertical lines, and that's it. If you see that this line is blinking, it means that your selection is formed and everything is fine. Now you can do a lot of stuff. First of all, if you were not so precise with your selection, you can move it to the left, right, top or bottom. Make sure that you have any selection tool selected over here, and then you can hover your mouse on top of selection. You'll see this small rectangular icon, and now you can move your selection. Once you're satisfied, you can proceed. What we can do with this selection is, for example, we can cut out this image from the middle to this separate layer. How to do that? You need to press Command and J or Control J on your Windows, and it creates a separate layer with cutted out image from the middle. As you can see, we have this image over here. Let me move it away so you can see it more clearly. To move away image, you can press V on your keyboard. It's gonna select your move tool, and now make sure that you selected this layer. Simply click on top of this layer, and now you can move around. Also, please make sure that this arrow is removed. You don't need this checkbox. Simply remove it because it's gonna annoy you a lot. And now you can just move it over here, over there, and that's your cut it out selection. If you want to go backwards, you can press Command Z and go back. Okay, now it's fine. Also, you can adjust your selection. You can add some segments or remove them. For example, you want to add this bottom line over here. You want to remove this section at all. In order to do that, you need to press M on your keyboard, so you'll select the same tool, rectangular marquee selection. Now you need to press and hold Shift on your keyboard, and it's gonna enable combine mode in Photoshop. So you'll see this plus icon, which means that any area that you will draw right now, for example this area, is gonna be added to the previous selection. Now we extended our selection and we have this huge part of an image. Cut it out. Command J. That's it. Now I can move it away. That's what we selected. In the same way, you can subtract some parts from the image. You can press M one more time on your keyboard, rectangular marquee tool. Now hold Alt or Option instead of Shift key. And as you can see, instead of plus, we have minus, which means that any selection that you'll make, it's gonna simply subtract it from the current selection. And it can work over here, over there. It's just gonna work, that's it. Also, you can remove your selection from the image at all. You don't necessarily need to create a duplicate layer, like here's Command J, you know how to do that. But if you want to remove this background at all, so we have a transparent background over there, you need to press Delete on your keyboard, but let me show you what's gonna happen right now. When you're gonna press Delete on a keyboard, you'll see that you have a new pop-up window which says Fill. What is fill? A fill is going to appear only if you are trying to delete your background, because as you can see right now, you have one layer which named background, and you have this lock key on the right side. It means that you should always have at least something non-transparent on your image, and once you're trying to delete those pixels, it just allows you to replace the selection with something else, with some technology or replacement, for example, content aware, which you're gonna try to remove this section, looking for any other interesting parts outside and trying to replace them. Also, you can fill out this section with a foreground color or background color or any other type of tools. But if you want to have it transparent, you need to press cancel and you need to hit with left mouse button over here. Once you click here, as you can see, this lock icon is gone, and now you can press delete, and that's it. Now we have this transparent background. Those gray squares, they mean that now you have a transparent background. And what you can do, you can upload any image and then place it right behind of this layer. Let me show it to you. For example, I have square background image. I can move it to the Photoshop. Now rescale it, reposition it, for example here. Now press enter on my keyboard, and now I need to move this layer to the down, so I need to place this layer right under the layer 0. I can do that in two ways. First way is simply moving this layer from the top to the bottom, and the second way to do that is by using hotkeys, and those hotkeys are very important, so please make sure that you have them written somewhere. So the hotkey to move your layer downwards or upwards is Control and close bracket key or open bracket key. So if you're gonna press Control and open bracket key, you're gonna move down your selected layer. If you're gonna press Control and close bracket key, you're gonna move it upwards. That's how it works. So we need to have this image right under the layer 0, and now you can reposition this image to any other desired spot. You might have a question. Okay, so what if I created a selection and it's just annoying, it's always here, how I can deselect this selection, how I can remove it without deleting an actual image or doing any other stuff with an image? You need to press Command D or Control D on your Windows machine, and it's gonna deselect it. If you in any time forget about this hotkey combination, you can go to Select and Deselect. You can see this hotkey over here. That's how it works. Also, please make sure that you understand one very important trick with this tool. So whenever you have something selected, if you have any selection tool, rectangle, polygonal, lasso, any other selection tool, you can move this selection. But if you have move tool selected, this one, you'll see a scissors icon right over here, and it means that if you're gonna press left mouse button and hold it and move it somewhere else, you're gonna cut out this section of an image, and that's it. Your selection is gonna be moved as well. Now let's go to the second image. What if you want to have a circular type of selection? You can go in the same tool, rectangular marquee tool, and while holding left mouse button, you'll see a drop-down selection menu. You need to choose elliptical marquee tool. This one is very easy. You need to press left mouse button, that's it. It's gonna draw a selection, simple as that. But you'll see that it's not so easy to be very precise with this tool, because okay, it's hard for me to understand where I need to locate my mouse so I can create a perfect selection, like how I can do that. There are a couple of tricks that can help you, and the very first is to place your cursor right in the middle of the circle. Now you need to press and hold left mouse button. As you can see, selection is forming and it goes from the middle to the left top corner. But if you want to have this selection going from middle to both sides, you need to press and hold Alt on your machine. So while you're holding left mouse button, you need to hold Alt on your keyboard, and in that way you can form a selection which is going to be created from the middle to the sides. That's how it works. Now you might have another question. Okay, so this is a way to create some kind of ellipses, and as you can see, you can create an oval, but what if you want to have a perfect circle? You need to hold Shift. While you're holding Shift, your proportions are going to be constrained into 1:1 ratio, and in that way you can create perfect circles. That's how it works. The same goes to rectangular marquee tool. While you're holding left mouse button, you can create rectangles, but if you want to form a square, you need to press left mouse button and hold Shift. Now you can create squares. Once you release your left mouse button, release Shift, and you're done. So that's how it works. It might be a bit complicated, but I'm sure that you're gonna be used to it in a couple of minutes, so just give it a try. As you can see, we have a lot of different tools, a lot of different selections, but single row marquee tool and single column marquee tool are quite useless because they are simply creating a selection of one pixel horizontally or vertically. I'm never using those, so let's skip them. Now, a very important tool in Photoshop is this section of selections. This is polygonal lasso tool, magnetic lasso tool, and all that kind of stuff. Let's start from the polygonal lasso tool. So it works in a very simple way. You need to press L on your keyboard, and that way you'll select lasso. Now make sure that you selected this one. And how it works, it allows you to create different snap points, so you can form a selection in lines. Once you're satisfied, you need to go back to your original line, to this first spot, and you'll see a small circle, which means that your selection is going to be formed and you will have this blinking line. Unless you have this line, this blinking line, you'll not be able to select. So please make sure that once you finish your selection, you go backwards and form a selection. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. Now, there's no way how you can create any kind of curves with this tool. This tool is created only for straight selection. And as you can see over here, I have a perfect example for practice. Now, once you're trying to create some selections with this tool, you'll see that sometimes you're just clicking and you don't want to form a selection, it's just random click, you want to remove anything that you created, but you don't want to close this selection and form a selection. You can press escape on your keyboard and it's gonna remove your drawing from the image. Now, let's try and select something with this tool. Let's start from the left top corner. Going from here, click, click, and like that. Also, I would like to mention the fact that you can create a perfectly vertical selections. You need to press Shift while you're working with this tool, and with Shift you can go with a 45 degrees constraint, and you can create perfectly horizontal, 45-degree diagonal, or vertical lines if you need to. And you simply go along with this line. Once you're ready, you need to move to the top and form a selection. Finding this small circle, we're ready. Okay, now we have this selection. What can we do? As we discussed earlier, we can cut out this background to the new layer. We can remove it at all. We can replace it with any other image. For now, let's cut out this background at all. Let's have a transparency here. We need to remove this lock icon. Now press delete on your keyboard, and that's it. You might also have an issue where whenever you're trying to select something, your selection might go weird. For example, you selected those skyscrapers, now you press delete and you remove them instead of sky. How to inverse this selection, how to work with that? Quite easily, you need to press Command-Shift-I on your keyboard, I from inverse, and as you can see, it's just inversing your selection. One more time, Command-Shift-I, Command-Shift-I. As you can see, it's just jumping around. Also, you can find this command over here, select, inverse, Command-Shift-I. Now you need to make sure that your sky is selected. No lock icon here, press delete, that's it. Now, we are still having this blinking line. We need to get rid of this line, so press Command D to deselect this selection. And now we can play with some images. We can add some sky over here. I already have some images in my Finder. For example, give me a minute. Yeah, so for example, we have this sky. I can move it downwards, and that's it. Now we have skies. As simple as that. Now you'll have a question. Okay, so that's polygonal lasso tool. What's magnetic lasso tool used for? This is not the greatest tool. It's very inconsistent because how it works is it allows you to press left mouse button and then simply move your mouse along with the image, and it's gonna form selection with you, following contrast difference between those pixels. But it's so laggy, it's so bad that I am never using those. You can try to adjust this tool using specific settings over here, but 99.9% of the time it's just useless tool, you'll never use it. As of Lasso tool, this one is more interesting because this tool, originally it was designed so you can create rough selections. For example, you have something abstract like this sky. You can hold left mouse button and you can form a selection. Now you have this interesting shape. That's it. So if you want something hand selected with zero precision, you can go with the basic Lasso tool. That's when you need to use it. But most of the time, if you need something more precise, polygonal Lasso tool is gonna work for you. Now we have a selection brush tool. This one is a very new tool, and it's used for situations when you want to edit your selection using a brush. For example, you have something created with the Lasso tool. The selection is formed. Now you can switch back to selection brush tool, and you'll see this selection as a purple mask. You can paint with a brush and add something to this selection, or holding Alt on a keyboard remove something from selection. Once you're ready, you need to press any other key, for example W, and your selection is going to be formed. I don't know why you need this, but if you want to work like that, you can do that, but to me it's just a useless tool. We already had something like this. It was named as Quick Mask, but it was very rare to use, so they just decided to create a separate tool for that. So it's just there, but you'll never ever use it because it's very inconvenient, and like, why do you need that? I don't know. But more important tool is object selection tool. So we discussed with you that we have very basic tools to select something, but what if you want to select an item that is very complex and you want to make it selected in just a few seconds? You can use object selection tool. Let me show it to you. Right here we have this beautiful statue and you want it to be selected. Now you need to press left mouse button, and that's it. Photoshop is gonna select everything for you. As you can see, it's quite precise. There are no issues with this image, and sometimes it might be not so great with some thin details like hair, but if you have something with a good contrast, something big, is gonna work just fine. You might see some issues over here and over there, but overall it's okay. You might find some issues with this tool. It might be not so perfect if you're working with this tool in device mode, because over here in this triangle section you can see that we have two options. First option is device, second option is cloud. Device is gonna use your machine power to process everything internally on your device, but it's gonna result in a lower quality selection, and that's it. You don't need to use this one. So try to keep with the cloud selection. Once you have it, you can hover your mouse on any part of an image. It's gonna try to understand what you want to select, or simply create a selection, and that's it. This tool is very cool, and if you have an older version of Photoshop, you're not gonna have it, so please make sure that you update it. And each time Photoshop gets an update, this tool is getting better and better. So please make sure that you keep your Photoshop updated just because of this tool, because it's impressive. Now, let's talk about something more manual. For example, you want to draw something with the brush tool, and you want to form a selection. And this selection is going to be semi-automatic. Let me show to you what do I mean. For example, we have this image. Perfect. So we have a tool named Quick Selection Tool. This tool allows you to paint like a brush. You can increase or decrease size of your mouse, of your brush, using open and close bracket key. As you can see, my brush is increasing or decreasing. Now, you need to press and hold left mouse button, and Photoshop is gonna try to understand what are you trying to select. Right here, we have a green color. So Photoshop understands, okay, I want to select green color, and it's helping me to extend my selection downwards. If I want to include this roller, I can go over this roller over here, and it's gonna select everything that is green. But you can see that it's not always perfect. We have some issues here, and on this metallic part, you can remove something from selection. Hold Alt on a keyboard, and you're gonna remove something from your selection. The same goes here. Now release your Alt on keyboard, try to cover it. So it works like that. It's not always perfect, but if you want to have some quick selections, you don't want to use object selection tool for any reason, you can do it with quick selection tool. The same goes for magic wand tool. This one is very powerful, and it was the best tool for selections for a long time. So the magic wand works like a charm. If you have an image with the similar colors and you want to select those colors across entire image, it works like that. You have your tool selected. Now you need to make sure that your sample size is 3x3 or 5x5, which means that Photoshop is going to try to combine different pixels together so you can have a more precise selection. For example, 5x5. And then you need to adjust tolerance. Tolerance means how many colors is going to be selected after you click left mouse button. Let me show it to you how it works with the tolerance 5. Click. As you can see, only those colors are getting selected because they are more or less similar, and the tolerance is 5. That's why it works like that. If you'll increase this value, for example, to 50, you'll see that almost entire green part is selected. You have some missed spots, but mostly it's because they are over this amount of tolerance 50. You can increase this to 100 and see how it works. Now it's even better. And this tool is quite good if you have some tasks when you need to select very bright, very saturated items and you have a lot of them and you don't have any time and you don't want to use object selection tool. You can work with magic wand tool. It's gonna work just fine. Now, once we discussed all those selection types, we need to go to the heavy artillery, which is pen tool. And working with pen tool is the most complicated tasks that you will do in Photoshop, in Illustrator, or with any other software once you try it, because pen tool is a very complex tool. We have a separate video about this tool, and if you struggle with it, please go here or here. You'll see a pop-up link and check this video because we have a huge tutorial just about pen tool. In Photoshop, pen tool works in different modes, and if you want to form a selection, you need to make sure that you work in path mode, not in shape mode. Shape mode is gonna create some vector-based images, some vector-based shapes. You don't need them, so please do not use this mode for now. It's used mostly for graphic design purposes. Right now we don't need that. Go to Path. And now what you need to do is to understand how this pen tool works. So at the first glance, it might look like it's just a polygonal lasso on steroids, and probably it is. So once you click with your left mouse button, you'll form a dot. Once you click in any other spot, you'll form a line. So you have two dots and line connecting them. Now you can continue clicking with left mouse button. Once you're ready, you can go backwards to your original point. You'll see this small circle icon. You can click left mouse button and you'll form a path. Path is not a selection. Path is a separate object type in Photoshop. We'll discuss it later. What you need to do to convert this path into selection, you need to press Control Enter on a keyboard or Command Enter. Once you press Control Enter, you'll see that your path is being converted to selection. And now you can work with this selection as with any other selection in Photoshop. But it's not all. As you can see, instead of simple lines that we were creating in Polygonal Lasso, we are creating those dots. And those dots are very cool because you can move them around. Once you form a selection, once you form a path to be more precise, you can move those dots. How to do that? You need to press A on your keyboard. A is going to enable direct selection tool, which means that you can press with your left mouse button onto the point, and now you can hold left mouse button and move it around. Now you can adjust your selection. And you can do that with any point that you see. So we want to adjust it. Now you're satisfied. Also, you can see that we have a path selection tool. This one is the same as direct selection tool, but it's created so you can move your entire path around your Photoshop document. That's it. Mostly we're using P, which is pen tool, and we're using A just to edit those shapes. That's how it works in Photoshop. Once you're ready, Command Enter, and it works. But that's not it. If you're gonna press left mouse button and then you're gonna press and hold left mouse button, you'll see that you can form different kind of curves. Those curves are based on Bezier curves, which means that you can create a very complex selections using this tool. But this is very complicated, and as I mentioned earlier, we have a separate video explaining how to work with this tool with some practicing files so you can get along with this tool faster and in a very efficient way. So please make sure that you check out this video right after this one, because this tool definitely needs to be mastered, because this is the most precise tool that you will ever find in any software, because this is a manual selection. And you will use this tool in any software that you will ever work with, in Photoshop, in Illustrator, Premiere Pro, After Effects. You'll find this tool everywhere, so you need to make sure that you understand how to work with the pen tool. That's probably it. We have some other selection types. We can work with automatic selections. We can adjust our selections using select and mask. But looking at the time of this recording, probably is gonna be too long, so we'll discuss it in the next videos alongside with the masks, because the way how you need to work with images is not just deleting those pixels, you need to work with masks, and we'll cover them in the next video. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the ring notification bell, and press the like button if you found this content useful. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.